Crypt follows the story of a group of kids that have had to resort to desperate alternatives in this present-day economy in order to figure out ways to survive. So they become criminals. Well, one of the group members, Gina, informs the group that there is this underground fortune. All they have to do is go down there and get it. But the question becomes, does the group really want to cross that moral line and become grave robbers? Which is a little weird and a little creepy for the group. But you know what? When push comes to shove, economic times, they say, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this.
We get into this house, and it's beautiful on the outside, and it's got, huge backyard, tons of land. I mean, the place is all dialed in. Okay, you get inside the house, it looks like a Motley Crue concert gone wrong. I mean, like Armageddon. I remember when we walked in, they knocked out walls, they were running wires through, they were pulling fans out of the roof. There was dirt and mud.
It was crazy because it's all very real. When we have to squeeze through those tiny little spots, it really is. We had to put all of our might into squeezing our body through these tiny holes and these tiny, confined areas. And half the time, we were acting off of nothing because we couldn't fit anybody in there. So whenever we did our singles, we'd find our eye line on the wall in front of us, and that was all we had to work off of because there was no other way to do it.
It looked amazing. Every couple of days we would come in there and just get to explore around the house and just find new little passageways and new little areas that they had created, and everything looked so real. It looked really, really awesome.
And it was like we had to take our mini tour through it and say, okay, what are we digging through today? What are we crawling through today? What are we swimming through today?
Another aspect of the Crypt that I loved was the introduction of the water. I loved how it added another layer to the suffocation, another layer to the claustrophobia, the bleakness. That black water was just wreaking havoc on the characters. It was making it more intense and more insane.
I am deathly afraid of dark water. And it's dark, you can't see what's around you, you can't breathe. It's terrifying for me. I'm afraid of the ocean, I'm afraid of lakes, I'm afraid of pools if I'm by myself.
We would just kind of do different sets inside the tank, and he created so many different things inside of it, so many different sets. It just looked really awesome.
Once he said action and I really had to dedicate to going under, that's it. Until from action to cut, there's a ceiling over you. You have to swim under the wall. There's no ceiling for you to come up for air or not. You just have to finish it out, and that was terrifying for me.
One of the negative things, though, was that it was really, really cold in the tank, so I didn't know about that, but it was still a lot of fun filming there. It was cool filming in the water.
I got swimmer's ear at one point because I went down the wrong way, and it was just, the water stuff was a bitch, but it looks awesome in the film, so I'd do it all over again if I had to.
So when I was first getting into makeup to actually become Dagmar, we had all the latex on my face and we started painting, and they wanted me to close my eyes so they could paint my eyelids white. And I didn't really understand why we were doing this. And Craig, the director, came up to me and he said, yeah, by the way, we're doing all your scenes with your eyes closed, which made things a little bit tricky because some of my scenes are pretty physical. There's scenes where I have to choke somebody. And so I'd practice a few times, with my eyes open before he says go. And then once he says action, I gotta pray that I hit the right spot. And there was a few times where he'd say action, and here I am growling at a wall, and he's like, "Oh no, you're facing this way. You're over here."
I think one of the most powerful parts, one of the most powerful scenes in the film was when PJ comes back home, and she's just gone through all this crap. All of her friends are dead. Her boyfriend is gone. She, in that scene where she finally comes back in, it's just like she's looking around, and it's just, this is where it all began.
there's that sense of closure in which everybody needs. You can relate it to real life or that of, you know, a movie. And I think her moment of actual closure was when she went back home and she was trying to get some sleep. And no matter how hard she tried, Perry was constantly in her mind.
It was really cool to, after the product was finished, to watch it and to really see was the transition that PJ makes. Her character really changes from the beginning to the end.
So where's the jewelry then?
In there.
Inside the coffins?
Yes.
Around the turn of the century, Europeans were migrating to the United States to seek out the allure of the United States. But something happened in that timeline. The Great Depression came along, and people in that time were hiding their money in fear that somebody would go ahead and try to take what's theirs. So everybody was clamping on to everything. Well, the Europeans took it one step further and decided they were going to build vaults to house their jewelry, their money, and everything. They wanted it very, very secret, so they built it underground. Well, after time started to happen, they built extensions, more mazes of rooms, and they built crypts, catacombs, place to bury themselves, similar to that of Europe.